We, as Transcend, exist to help EPC firms automate the conceptual design process. We work exclusively with water and wastewater firms. We don't work with any other industries. And the bulk of our team, about 30 of us, all come from a water background. And I want to put that out up front because we're not some software company that entered water and said, hey, we can help solve all your problems. We started out as water and wastewater treatment engineers that then became converted, if you will, into being excited about the future of automation and computer programming. And the outcomes that we're delivering for our clients are helping you win more work. So pre-bid, pre-RFQ, going after new clients, showing them more options early on, reducing non-billable hours, and then helping you serve your clients more effectively, either with more options, more alternatives, more detail, the things that they're asking you for. I think we can all agree, and if we don't, call me out on this, that the water treatment consulting world is becoming much more difficult and has been for about the last 5 to 10 years. And the reason that's the case is really threefold. The first is that the workforce is aging and all of that knowledge is being lost as senior employees retire. And then finding a new crop of engineers to fill their place and train them effectively is extremely difficult. The second one is that clients are becoming more demanding. In the instant economy of Amazon and any other basically on-demand services, they're asking for things like, hey, lower your fees and increase the detail. Give us more detail in the early stages of projects at your cost. Obviously, budget restrictions are a big thing, and no one's traveling because of COVID, and hopefully that gets better over time, but that's making things a lot more difficult too. And lastly, what we're hearing from our clients is that there's just simply, in many cases, too much work to be done, not enough time to do it. And when you are spending time on projects, especially around the conceptual design, a lot of it is non-billable or non-cost recoverable, especially in a design build environment or alternative delivery method environment. All of this sort of combines to make this perfect storm for engineers to not be able to do their jobs effectively. So I've pulled a couple quotes from real clients as far as what we're hearing from them and why they're working with us, making their lives a lot easier. So the first one is dozens of iterations on a design project, and the client, your client, may not have an appreciation for how difficult it is to actually change or revise an entire design package just because one parameter might change. Example could be influent temperature or influent BOD or COD. Engineers are also saying, I feel like I'm a professional copy paster. All I do is update drawings, spreadsheets, and documents. I'm not actually engineering. I'm just playing around in Excel all day, or I'm writing design basis documents all day. I'm putting together proposals. I want to be able to use my brain and not copy paste. And then finally, there's a term that is used in some of the firms that we work with called the back 40, which is the 40 hours a week that engineers and business representatives are working that they can't bill for, but that they have to work in order to get designs turned around to the client. So real example, process engineer came to us and said, well, one of my clients told me there are a couple of changes impacting the preliminary treatment chemical dosing and sludge line. Can we have the revision by, later today? Would that be possible? It's not, it's impossible. We believe that engineers and folks doing this technical work should be focused on alternatives evaluations, innovation, and complex problem solving, not on monotonous tasks. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And we know this is happening because it's happening in many different industries. A shift from these manual copy-paste repetitive tasks are being transformed by machines and artificial intelligence. Whether it's in healthcare, manufacturing, HR, transportation, we're seeing it happen across the board. And we know that the engineering world is going to be the next one that feels this wave. You take a look at what Wall Street looked like, maybe 70, 80, 90 years ago, tons of people out on the floor trading paper tickets. You walk in now, largely computers, largely automated algorithms doing that trading work. You look at an operating room, dozens of people operating on a single human, maybe not the best outcome for that person. Now you have things like the Da Vinci robot where a doctor will perform a surgery with the help of automation and robotics to deliver better outcomes to the patient. AEC, the next big industry that's going to be transformed by this. And if you don't believe me, let's look at what's already happened in terms of the transformation. Some of you are old enough to remember the days where this is a typical work environment for an engineering firm. You walk into a room full of draft tables, you have a bunch of manual tools, pens and paper, and you're doing designs by hand. Of course, that all changed when AutoCAD came about. Now, we've gotten to the point where we can actually automate a bulk of those preliminary and conceptual design activities. So as an example, what you're seeing on the screen is a computer generating a PNID for a wastewater treatment process, bespoke. This isn't a template. This isn't a family of objects. This is a specific design, specific to that project, specific to the wastewater influent and effluent characteristics we're trying to treat to. But it's not just PNIDs. We can also generate documents and outputs as complex as architectural spaces. Or some of you might recognize what we call BIM models, building information models. So you can see here we have the computer selecting process equipment in the case of wastewater treatment. It's taking that process equipment and putting it inside of rooms. Then it's arranging those rooms inside of buildings. And then it will actually create a complete site layout, optimally arranging all the buildings on a site. So if you wanted to upgrade a plant and you have a new set of clarifiers, it would put those on site. If you have an MBR train, it would put that on site next to the blower building, et cetera. And what ends up coming out is a full Revit file. So you'll actually get not only the BIM model, but the editable Revit document that's created bespoke for each project entirely by software. This is exactly why Transcend exists. We built this software to automate the mundane and help firms focus on the challenging through a cloud-based software as a service platform. So in 8 hours or less, you can go to your clients with a variety of options for either greenfield treatment facilities or upgrade and expansion of existing sites and deliver better outcomes to them earlier on, solidify yourselves as the firm to work with, win more work, keep your engineers happier. We work with 3 primary constituents in the water industry. The first are OEMs like Suez. The second are EPCs, Black & Veatch. And the third are utilities, like United Utilities. Our software has been used to design over 9,000 wastewater treatment plants to date. And just this year, we've been listed as the hottest innovation to watch by Global Water Intelligence. We were just announced this last week in the Infrastructure Tech 50 alongside Bentley, Autodesk, and Trimble for optioneering and automation. And we also won an Edison Award for innovation, engineering, and optioneering as well.